Joining us now, NBC News senior business correspondent Stephanie Ruhle, NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor, and Henrietta Treyz, managing partner and director of economic policy research at Veda Partners. She worked with the U.S. Senate Finance, Banking and Budget Committee and helped create policy solutions aimed at recovering from the 2008 recession. So, Stephanie, just this morning, since the open of the market, up a bit, up quite a bit, dropping down 1,600 plus points, now back essentially. What's going on?
Investors are desperately trying to figure out what is President Trump doing, right? There was a moment this morning when we thought maybe he was going to put a pause on the tariffs. You know, he's meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu today. So the thought is, well, maybe if they come up with a more attractive deal for Israel, maybe that'll be the first of many. But at the end of the day, it's confusion, Jose, and the markets are up and the markets are down. You know, they're trying to figure out, well, who's in the room with President Trump? Is it Scott Bessent, who isn't a super pro-tariff guy, or is it Peter Navarro, who's all about the tariffs? And that's the biggest problem. And it's the biggest problem for other countries who are our trading partners. It's the biggest problem for CEOs who run companies here and investors. They're looking to understand what's the trusted information, what's the long-term goal and plan from this administration. Even within the administration, you get conflicting messages. If we all watched the Sunday shows yesterday, you'd watch Peter Navarro believing these tariffs are going to be on for the long haul, and they're going to bring in trillions of dollars into this country. But if you listen to the likes of Howard Lutnick or Scott Bessent, they make it sound like where we are is just a starting point with the tariffs, and maybe they're going to go down. So if you're an investor looking to invest in the market, you need to know what's in store. And if you're a CEO and you're being told, trying to bring back manufacturing, are you really going to invest billions of dollars to build some plant here when it's going to be done in 3 to 5 years, when Donald Trump will not be in office? We don't know what the tariffs will look like or what any of the policies will be. And if you're another country, especially one that used to be our ally, if you're Canada, if you're Mexico, if you're anyone in the European Union, you're saying the United States, the democracy that I depended on as a partner and a trading superpower for all these years, can I still depend on them? Because last I checked, the United States has gotten more and more comfortable with executive orders, and it's not just unique to President Trump, also with President Biden, but Donald Trump is now ruling by executive order, not Congress. So how can you know what the policies are going to be? How can you have a trusted trading partner when things could change on a dime? And the answer is you can't, which is when you look at one thing, the dollar, it continues to weaken because people are losing trust in the United States of America.
And let's talk about that, Henrietta, the global reaction to what's going on. I mean, it's having effects on markets around the world. Trading was halted temporarily in Japan, in Taiwan, in South Korea today. How much damage has already been done?
I mean, I have to pile on here. $7 trillion worth of market cap just traded in 30 minutes. There is rampant chaos, so much so that Audi is actually just announced that they're not even going to unload the vehicles that are on their container ships to bring them into American soil because they don't know whether they need to charge American consumers 25% more on the cars today or if it'll be off tomorrow. And that's really the underlying problem here, is that the lack of cohesive strategy around the president's executive order trade agendas, as you just point out, are really what is creating this market inability to price in what will come from here. And what I'm trying to tell clients today and investors is that if you want Congress to send a message to try to exert any of its lingering trade authority here, you got T-minus 4 days. On Thursday, they're going to be gone for the Easter and Passover recesses, and they will be out of commission, out of D.C. for a month. And this is going to be exclusively Trump's domain to do what he will with these tariffs.
And so, Yamiche, does the White House see what we're hearing this morning, that there is a lack of cohesive strategy coming out of the executive on this?
Well, the White House is saying the president is really doubling down on his view that this is the right strategy forward and that he believes that this is not a mistake, that this is going to be a short-term issue. They're not giving a timeline. The president also pushed back when he was asked whether or not there was a threshold that he would take and whether or not if things got too bad, that he might back away and lower some of these tariffs. He called it actually a stupid question to even ask whether or not there was a threshold. But also, we've seen top White House aides and top Trump aides out talking about this. Take a listen to what they've said.
Americans who want to retire right now, the Americans who have put away for years in their savings accounts, I think they don't look at the day-to-day fluctuations of what's happening.
We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us. They're earning our money. They're taking our money.
Right.
And Donald Trump has seen this, and he's going to stop it.
I think we'll see in short order really positive outcome from this. We already have 50 countries that have come to the table over the last few days, over the last weeks, that are willing and desperate to talk to us.
Now, Jose, I should also tell you that I've talked to a number of White House officials, including one who told me that they're not even concerned about the optics of the president golfing in South Florida while these markets are having this strain. One person telling me it's like going to a birthday party when your friend has had surgery, making the case that President Trump isn't overly concerned about the economy. The president has also been out this morning posting online. Here's what he wrote. He wrote, "The United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panic. A new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result." Now, I should also tell you that I've been talking to people that are worried about their retirement funds, people that have retired or are about to retire. People are definitely checking their 401ks. People are definitely panicking and very, very worried because they're not sure whether or not there's going to be a sort of strategy at some point on how to stop all of this. The president is saying that he's negotiating with a number of countries. I've heard Poland, Vietnam, Cambodia, Israel. Of course, the prime minister is visiting the White House today, so we'll see some of those negotiations also happening, Jose.
The leader of Taiwan just posted a little while ago that there is some movement in the tariffs and reciprocal tariffs between Taiwan and the United States. So there is some movement. But, Stephanie, what do you tell, meanwhile, folks that do look at their 401ks or do look at the trillions of dollars losses just in these last 5 days?
Jose, it's completely reasonable and rational for people to check their 401ks. And it's a tough pill to swallow to hear the Treasury Secretary, somebody who's worth, $500 million, say people aren't paying attention to that. Right? That's the same thing we heard from the Commerce Secretary a few weeks ago, who said if his mother-in-law didn't get a Social Security check for a month, she wouldn't really check. Sure. She wouldn't check for a month because her son-in-law is worth over $2 billion. But for everyday Americans, many of those who voted for Donald Trump, they are concerned about this. And it's not just everyday Americans. CEOs are, right? It was just a few months ago that Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan, said, listen, tariffs are a tool. We use them. We certainly saw President Biden use them. And they can be used strategically and surgically. But fast forward today, Jamie Dimon is sending out his annual letter worried that the use of these tariffs in the way that they're being used could be the cause of a global recession, could cause serious slowdown in the economy. And for those who say, well, the markets are different from the economy, of course they are. But when you now have bank after bank predicting a recession is just simply not the stock market. It is the overall economy, and it will hurt all of us.
Yamiche Alcindor, Henrietta Treyz, and of course, Stephanie Ruhle. Thank you. You can watch Stephanie Ruhle tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern on the 11th hour right here on MSNBC.